Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Jung, he said when many people came presenting spiritual issues, it was often about sex. And when people presented with sexual issues, it was often about spirituality, which is another way to reinforce the two are intimately connected. So here's what I'm trying to sort out and would welcome your thinking. I think we have in the church not moved as far from the conventional patriarchal ethic as we would like to think. And the reason I say that is we still make normative romantic pair bonds as the privileged marker of ethical sex. Not necessarily saying it's exclusively married sex that's ethical, but we've said it needs to be committed, it needs to be with only one other person, and so forth and so on. It is only a variation on the marriage ethic. What I am interested in is what would it mean to develop a contemporary Christian ethic of sexuality that's not organized around marriage or the marital family, because I think that leaves too many out. What if we organized our ethical frame around friendship sex? That you only engage in sexual intimacy with a person with whom you are friendly, meaning you respect them, you care about them, you value them as a person, they are your peer, your equal. And if your relationship does not have the characteristic of friendship, don't go there. The reason this is intriguing to me is that I think the legacy from the Christian tradition, by and large, has been to eroticize power inequality. That's what turns people on. What would it mean if what stirs our eroticism, our juices, is not inequalities of power and status, but it was the first descriptor that was put out, mutuality. Yes?
And I hope I'm not being stupid by him. When sexuality develops around mutuality,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about all these other things that make sex good, there's a tremendous amount of vulnerability. And I share that vulnerability with somebody with whom I'm mutual and mutually and this is where it gets very confusing. I have seen some
Thank you.
outside well, I just remember the aphorism, don't play like you're married when you're not. are so kind of easily stepping past the convention of marriage?
Well, let me say, I'm interested in reframing. I'm actually interested in raising the bar of moral expectation. I think one of the things that does us a disservice is that too little is being asked of us, which is basically conformity to certain forms, but not necessarily to invest in developing relationships based on self-respect and respect for others. That what I would argue that what we need to focus on is not the form, but the moral substance. And to say that all our relating, including our intimate relating, should have the character of what is both genuinely loving and genuinely just. And that if that was our expectation, my hunch is we would ask more for ourselves than many of us now expect. That we would need to be treated far better. But the demand of this this ethic is it also asks of us far more in how we treat others. And so what I would like is to raise the expectation that we not settle for less than what we deserve. Now that's not asking for perfection, but it's to say that we have an obligation to live an ethic that is compatible with our deepest values and commitments. And the reason I say a friendship ethic is that I think it is a way to characterize the diversity of possibilities in a way that the traditional marriage ethic has not. The traditional marriage ethic was only for those who got married. Anyone single or unpartnered or in multiple relationships, it didn't work. A friendship ethic, I think, asks across those differences, what is the character of your relating? And does it have the character? It also resonates with, for me, the Gospel of John invitation, I no longer call you servants, but my friends. And also, my spirit will be with you. You figure this out. You'll have the wisdom and insight that you need. You'll have the advocate. Yes.
Maybe this now sounds a little confusing. And thank you for all this theoretical and wonderful conversation. But at some point then, I think we're still missing the how. How to bring it to the faith community. Because in doing that, I'm afraid that we, again then, try to fit it within a framework of friendship or so, and then I lose that kind of the playful and the casual element of it. Among the gay community, it's kind of, as I said, you don't sleep with your friends. So.
Who said that? I've never heard anyone say that.
Wow.
Or I would say many of us might say that many former lovers have also continued to be important friends.
Dr. Marvin?
You know, I'm not encouraging a compulsory engagement of sex with friends. That comes out of another distortion in the tradition. It's not that with every person that you're friendly, you have sex. What I'm suggesting, though, is your sexual intimacy should also resonate deeply with the best qualities of genuine friendship.
Your challenge to us sounds like a movement away from the hookup culture that's predominant on college campuses and even in our adult and seasoned adult lives, whereby that hookup culture feeds the mutuality is only there because we need to fulfill a need, and the need is to have some type of sexual activity, not necessarily intimacy. There's not a friendship, nor is there just love, and love is not there at all. There is diversity, but only because I want diverse partners. And too little is being asked, and their self-respect is being lost in that hookup culture. So I appreciate your new model that you're challenging us with.
It much better than I had the clarity to, but it's the consumerist model in a capitalist economy and culture, which hookup says you engage in sexual activity as a way to use and exploit. And it is true, sexuality is about our vulnerability, but it's also about our power. This fundamental capacity we have to make connections. And the question is, how do we use our power? How can we be powerful in a way that not only benefits us, but benefits others? That it's not using our power to take advantage of others, but is to use our power to deepen relationships of mutual care and respect. And that we become more powerful when we share our power, not less. And for myself, I know this reality much better in the context of friendship than I do within a marriage frame or a romantic pair bond frame. Now, is this going to be an easy sell? No. No. But I think young people understand what a religious education around sexuality might look like if you said, this is to help you understand and be well equipped to use your erotic power in the context of friendship. So you're thinking not only about your pleasure, but you're also thinking about what is good for and respectful of the other. And you have a sense of accountability to not only maintain your own integrity and health and well-being, but that of others. You do not harm friends. And genuine friendship also may ask of us to engage in generous agape giving. Not because sacrificial love is somehow in the abstract the best kind of love, but that kind of generous giving of self is for the purpose of restoring mutuality. Mutuality is the highest form of love. Okay? Okay. So, comments and questions? Yeah.
I was kind of listening, and I'm listening to all the friendship, love kind of stuff, right? And I pastor in the inner city in an urban environment. And speaking, and then I was thinking about young people, and I'm thinking about a whole culture of young youth and young adults who are experimenting and exploring their sexuality, and they also come from an urban culture with this total different kind of code, and sex means something totally different there. And I'm thinking, that sounds very middle class, kind of suburban and surreal. How do you talk to them about this? Because they've created, honestly, I think even in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, gender neutral community, their own subculture, where I see some real interesting things that I sometimes don't know how to address, sort of SGL stud. Now they've got a new word, STEM, which are sort of stud femme women who tell me things like, this guy who's gay, but that's their baby's daddy, kind of, and there's a whole different, and they're absent from this place. So where does that fit in?
And I don't have a great answer, unfortunately, to give back to you. But let me just make one small comment. I think it's not only true of adults, but I think it's very true of younger adults who in this society are so disempowered. And for a variety of reasons, among others, is they lack economic power and they lack social power. One of the things that they have is erotic power. And so one of the reasons for young people's sexuality is so important is that it's one of the few places that they have power and access to power and to use that.